What's going on, guys? JSGC here, back again for another daily Manchester City transfer update. Before I do crack on with today's update, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, then do subscribe to my channel. I'm going to keep you guys up to date every single day here on YouTube with all the latest City transfer news. So if you haven't already, do subscribe. It's getting very warm out there, and I don't just mean from the weather, but also involving City in this transfer window. So you do want to stay up to date, so do subscribe. Social media links are in the description, including my X, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave your thoughts as well in the comments below. Do leave a thumbs up. We're aiming, let's go ambitious today. We're going to go 500 likes. And finally, if you're into Fantasy Premier League, then do go and check out my link in the description. That's going to allow you to join the JSGC League. So if you do want to come and join me, just use the code XXSVL5. Gonna have a good time on there, so do come go and check that out. That would be much appreciated. As I said, links and details, they are in the description. So we've got no contract news to speak about today. We're going to dive straight on in with the outs, and we've got the very latest on Callum Doyle. Now, Football League World have said that Wrexham are keen on Callum Doyle from Manchester City. Manchester City are angling towards a permanent sale. They've set an asking price at £10 million. Now, I'm not too sure if I see Wrexham this summer spending £10 million on Callum Doyle. I'm not aware that Manchester City are going to be negotiating on that fee either. So if Callum Doyle is to leave Manchester City, it's looking like more than likely it's going to be a loan deal with some kind of package included that's going to have a purchase option. Normally, when we do loan to the Championship and a purchase option is included, Man City may give an option to buy, but they prefer to go down the route of an obligation to buy with the clause that would become active if that club gets promoted to the Premier League, is how we've seen previous deals like this go down, including that of Taylor Harwood-Bellis when he joined Southampton. So Manchester City, when it comes to, if you want to explore this avenue, are going to have a look at the interested parties to decide who is the most likely of the teams interested to be promoted, so Manchester City can make some money. So Wrexham, their name is out there. Coventry City, they're also interested. Norwich City are also interested, along with Leicester City. Now, the clubs outside of Wrexham are all clubs that Callum Doyle has played for before on loan. I can't imagine City would be keen on a straight loan once more for Callum Doyle. I feel like he's hit, in terms of his career at City, a little bit of a ceiling value right now. And I feel like the best way for him now to improve, grow and develop would be to have a permanent transfer to somewhere else. And the fact that we're not seeing any Premier League clubs interested tells me I can't see Championship teams paying £10 million for Callum Doyle, but I can see them going down the loan with a potential either option to buy or obligation to buy if that club is promoted to the Premier League. And right now, obviously, you know, we're looking here at four very good teams. Wrexham, I'm expecting to be right up there, potentially challenging for the playoffs and a potential promotion to the Premier League. And Coventry City, I'm expecting to go from strength to strength. I can see them making the playoffs at the very least. Norwich City, Leicester City as well. I expect all these teams to have very good seasons. So a difficult decision may lie in the future very soon for Manchester City to decide on what they want to do when it comes to the future of Callum Doyle. Now, moving on, we've got the very latest on James McAtee, and the Mail have said that Nottingham Forest's second bid for James McAtee was worth £27 million plus bonuses. No details on the all-important buyback and sell-on fee here, but it is believed that Nottingham Forest now have a verbal agreement in place with James McAtee's camp when it comes to personal terms and his Nottingham Forest contract. Now, Jack Gorhan has said that Nottingham Forest are close now to agreeing a deal with Manchester City. As reporting yesterday, it was reported by Fabrizio Romano that it was a deal worth more than £20 million, and I know a lot of people were very unhappy about that fee being put out there. And I was speaking about, let's hear all of the facts. Well, we're starting to get more information coming out day by day, and Jack Gorhan saying it's a deal worth around £30 million all in. So we're looking here at somewhere between 27 and £30 million, which is, of course, an improvement on Nottingham Forest's first bid of £25 million. And I imagine that City wouldn't sanction any sale unless a good sell-on fee and buyback clause was included as well. So I expect them to be included as well. And I think if we get £30 million, a good sell-on fee and a buyback clause included, I'd say that represents a good value for James McAtee in today's market. Now, moving on, we've got the latest on Jack Grealish, and Fabrizio Romano confirmed last night that Jack Grealish has now completed his Everton medical ahead of a season-long loan there. The Mail is saying that Jack Grealish has spoken with David Moyes, manager of Everton. He's impressed by what he's had to say and what he's been told, and Jack Grealish, because of that, has decided to push this transfer through. Jack Grealish has been described as going above and beyond to get this loan transfer sorted to Everton, because Jack Grealish has only got eyes on getting plenty of minutes, plenty of starts, so he's in the best possible position to, hopefully for his case, to be on the plane to North America next summer and going to the World Cup with England, which is Jack Grealish's focus. Waiting for full clarification about a potential loan fee, if that's being paid, and what contribution Everton have towards the wages. We've already heard about them having the option to buy for £50 million next summer, which Jack Grealish turns 31 next summer. He'll have 1 year left on his City contract, so that's £50 million is never going to get activated. But yeah, surprised City didn't go a little lower to encourage Everton to maybe go for a permanent sale. I think if they'd set it around 20-25 million pounds, half of what has been set, I feel that might have tempted Everton to do a bit of business, and we could have got a cool 20 or 25 million pounds and Jack Grealish off the books earlier than maybe anticipated, because I'm anticipating here that it's just going to be simply a loan this summer and a loan next summer until the expiry of Jack Grealish's contract in June of 2027. So yeah, anyway, moving on, we've got the latest on Savinho, and Romulo Giacomin has said that Manchester City will not entertain Tottenham Hotspur's opening bid of around £43 million for Savinho, and if Manchester City are to do a transfer here of Savinho to go to Tottenham Hotspur, then Manchester City want a heck of a lot more money than £43 million. Now, what I do keep hearing here is Tottenham Hotspur going low ball with their bid. I've not heard about how much they're happy to pay for Savinho. I am hearing more about how much Man City are willing to accept for Savinho, and one thing that is pretty crystal clear and common across all sources, they're all saying the same thing, which is they believe that if a transfer is agreed, Savinho is happy to leave Manchester City and he'd be happy to make the switch to North London to play for Tottenham Hotspur. Now, the Mail have said that it would take an offer of over £60 million to tempt Manchester City to sell Savinho this summer, which to me, that number represents a much closer value to how much Savinho is worth. We're looking here at a 21-year-old high-quality young player with bags of potential who could potentially go on to be a fantastic world-class winger. And the fact that he's got 4 years left on his Manchester City contract, I've said yesterday in my transfer update, I'd be looking at somewhere between 60 and 80 million pounds, and I'd be looking at the smaller amount there if Tottenham Hotspur were willing to put in some good clauses, including a potential sell-on fee and also a potential option for Man City to match any future bids that are accepted for Savinho. So I would personally accept £60 million with good bonuses included on this transfer. We'll see what Tottenham are willing to pay, and I think that's the big hurdle here. I think Savinho would be happy to make the transfer. I think Tottenham are interested in making the transfer happen, and I think Man City's stance is there is the potential of a sale to happen. They're reluctant, they don't want it to happen, but if the value is met, then they would sell. So the question is, how much are Tottenham willing to pay for Savinho? Now, the Athletic have said, and this is the stance coming from Manchester City, and it's very much for me a negotiation tactic being used, a reliable source like the Athletic, Manchester City telling Tottenham Hotspur that they don't want to sell Savinho this summer, and the regarding that matter as closed. That's Manchester City telling Tottenham Hotspur that they regard Savinho as not for sale. They've come in with the opening offer. The fact that Man City have been looking at alternatives tells me that actually that might not be the stance. This is Man City's way of trying to play hardball here to try and get Spurs to pay more. If they're not going to pay more, then City aren't going to go after the likes of Rodrygo and Xavi Simons. They will keep Savinho, and I've got no personal problem with keeping Savinho here because he's only had one season to showcase what he could do, and I think he's got a heck of a lot more to offer Manchester City. But Manchester City pretty much doing what Daniel Levy does to Manchester City. You just drag it on, you play hardball until you get the amount that you're looking for. For Tottenham Hotspur, if they want Savinho, then they're going to have to stump up the cash. They're going to have to pay big money to make the transfer happen, or Man City are telling them, get lost, get out of here. But in the meantime, Man City do have to be prepared that if Tottenham do meet the value, that they've got enough time to make a transfer happen, which is where these links of Xavi Simons and Rodrygo have been coming from. But I would go as far to suggest here that Manchester City, we know what our fixtures are looking like. We know we're playing in the Premier League this weekend, and we're playing next weekend, and next weekend, coincidentally, our first home game of the season, we take on Tottenham Hotspur. And one thing I think that Manchester City could do with avoiding is ensuring that they've got a fully fit and prepared Savinho lining up for Tottenham Hotspur rather than for Manchester City. So if we're looking at a deal, I'd play hardball, get a good amount, and I'd only be willing to accept an offer when it gets to the latter parts of this window, once we've got a replacement ready-made and lined up for, it's basically going to be a one-in, one-out kind of situation that we would be looking at, is what I would be doing, and that's going to take a little bit of time to get things sorted. But City aren't exactly slow when it comes to bringing players in, so this transfer could spiral very quickly. Wouldn't surprise me if that came in the next 24 hours. We'll see, of course, and I'm expecting to have further developments on this in tomorrow's update. So, moving on to the ins, the final player I want to speak about is Rodrygo. Yesterday, I was literally pressing upload when the information came out that City were having a good look at Rodrygo, so I weren't able to speak about it in yesterday's transfer update. So, all the information that I've got is correct information that's come out in the last 24 hours or so. So, Matteo Moretto has said that Manchester City are exploring alternatives if Savinho is to be sold to Tottenham Hotspur, and one of them options is Rodrygo, who is keen on a move to Manchester City. It's no secret he's been flirting with Manchester City for years. He even turned down Arsenal in the hope that maybe an offer is going to come in from Manchester City, and that offer may not be too far away. Now, Real Madrid are looking for £87 million or 100 million euros to let the 24-year-old Brazilian forward leave. Manchester City were also linked yesterday with Jerry Simons from RB Leipzig, as was reported on in yesterday's transfer update that came via Sacha Tagliafieri, where he was saying that Manchester City were wanting to rival Chelsea to try and bring in the 22-year-old Dutch attacker, who is available for around £70 million. So we're looking here at one player available for 70 and another player available for 87 million pounds. And I think as we look at these two players, Savinho's got bags of potential, but that's the key word here. He's a player that's got potential. He's not the ready-made article, whereas you bring someone experienced in like Rodrygo, and for me that's a really big step up for Manchester City, because he is a world-class winger. He would chip in with the 10 plus goals every season that City would be looking for from our wide players. He would be a nuisance. He'd cause fullbacks all kinds of problems, and he's versatile across the attacking line. So Rodrygo would be, in my opinion, a fantastic signing, who I think Pep Guardiola would love to work with somebody like him, and Rodrygo knows that he'd love to work with somebody like Pep Guardiola and work around his systems, because he knows that it would be a really good fit. So Rodrygo, in terms of personal terms and wanting to move to Man City, I don't think is any problem. It's all about the potential transfer fee and, of course, the sale of Savinho, and if that happens or not. Now, Fabrizio Romano's put some reliability on this story, and he's confirmed that Manchester City are looking at and are contemplating whether they want to make a move for Rodrygo. Fabrizio Romano went on to say later last night that Manchester City want to try and negotiate on Rodrygo's price, because they don't want to pay 100 million euros, but they want to try and negotiate that down if it is possible, because Real Madrid are looking for the sale, and Manchester City now are in contact with Real Madrid, with Rodrygo's camp. They're putting the feelers in place about a deal, how keen Rodrygo would be on the move, how keen his family are on Rodrygo joining Manchester City, and how keen Rodrygo would be to play for Manchester City and obviously settle down in Manchester. So these are the feelers that are being asked, and I suspect we'll get some answers over this in the next 24 to 48 hours. And then the Athletic this morning have gone on to say that Rodrygo isn't expected to be an important player for Real Madrid this season, and they want to cash in on him, they want the sale, and that's what they're going to be looking for. And as we get towards transfer deadline day, Real Madrid are going to face the prospects there. If there isn't any other interested parties out there who are willing to pay big for Rodrygo, then they would have to negotiate on the price. So I think Manchester City, if they do want Rodrygo, do have to be a bit cautious about another club coming in and gazumping Manchester City, because teams do get desperate towards the end of the window, and teams who do have money do chuck money at players because they're desperate to bring players in. So Man City want to avoid the desperation and want to try and get things sorted as soon as possible. So it'd be nice to have some clarity on this, in particular if Tottenham Hotspur are keen on making another bid and declaring their interest publicly for Savinho, then ideally we could do that coming at some point this week, so negotiations can continue over the weekend and some agreements can be put in place. And as I said, I'd just be a bit wary about that game that we've got against Spurs next weekend, and Savinho coming back to bite Manchester City on the backside. You want to avoid that, so I would just look for Operation Stall, which I don't think would be too difficult to do, because all you'd say is, well, Tottenham Hotspur negotiate the transfer, City are just going to say we need to sort out a replacement, and once we've got our replacement in order and everything's all sorted on that end, we'll then sanction the sale for Savinho, and I would make sure that comes right on the cusp of that game, so Savinho isn't going to play or feature in that match. But that was what I would do. But the time is ticking and clubs like to get things sorted. It may be a case where City might want a whirlwind, and a Savinho sale could be agreed in the coming 24 or 48 hours, and City could have Rodrygo agreements in place even before this weekend's Premier League game. So we'll see what does happen with regards to that. But it's very much looking like if Man City do sell Savinho, it's going to be a case of one Brazilian winger out and another Brazilian forward brought in terms of Rodrygo from Real Madrid, which I know a lot of you guys are very keen on happening, so I'm sure you'll be very happy with what I've been reporting on today. So yeah, if you do want to stay up to date every single day here on YouTube with all the latest City transfer news, then do make sure you have subscribed to my channel. I'm going to keep you guys up to date every single day with all the latest City transfer news here on YouTube, so do subscribe. It is free. Social media links there in the description if you want to go and follow me on my X, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up on today's video. We're going ambitious, 500 likes. Any help towards that would be great, and do get your thoughts as well in the comments below. And do remember, do go and check out my fantasy football league. Come and join me on the JSGC league. Links and details there in the description. Remember, code XXSVL5 and that will join you to the JSGC league. And I'll see you all again religiously tomorrow for the next City transfer update. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.